Hey everybody, Mr. T here. So today you're going to be working on a what's called a civic literacy essay, which is the last essay on your Regents exam. Just wanted to make a video reading some of these documents for you. So as you go along and you read the documents and answer the questions, you can read along with me. You can skip back and forth to hear me read things multiple times. Um, all right, so starting with Document 1. Document 1 is from the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, 1789. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. I'll read that one more time. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. And question number 1 with that document, based on this document, identify one freedom guaranteed by the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. Maybe you want to pause the video and take a second to answer that question. Okay. Document 2A from the Espionage Act, 1917. Section 3. Whoever, when the United States is at war, shall willfully make or convey false reports or false statements with intent to interfere with the operation or success of the military or naval forces of the United States, or shall willfully cause or attempt to cause insubordination, refusal to obey orders, disloyalty, mutiny, refusal of duty in the military or naval forces of the United States, or shall willfully obstruct the recruiting or enlistment service of the United States, shall be punished by a fine of not more than $10,000 or imprisonment for not more than 20 years, or both. Document 2B from the Sedition Act, 1918, Section 3. Whoever, when the United States is at war, shall willfully make or convey false reports or false statements with intent to interfere with the operation or success of the military or naval forces of the United States, or to promote the success of its enemies, or shall willfully make or convey false reports or false statements, or incite insubordination, disloyalty, mutiny, or refusal of duty in the military or naval forces of the United States, or shall willfully obstruct the recruitment or enlistment service of the United States, or shall willfully utter, print, write, or publish any disloyal, profane, scurrilous, with the intention to damage a reputation, or abusive language about the form of government of the United States, or the Constitution of the United States, or the military or naval forces of the United States, or shall willfully display the flag of any foreign enemy, or shall willfully urge, incite, or advocate any curtailment of production, or advocate, teach, defend, or suggest the doing of any of the acts or things in this section enumerated, and whoever shall by word or act support or cause or favor the cause of any country with which the United States is at war, or by word or act oppose the cause of the United States therein, shall be punished by a fine of not more than $10,000 or imprisonment for not more than 20 years, or both. I know that was a mouthful. Just try and get what you think are the most important things. And the question you're asked, based on these documents, state one action made illegal by the Espionage or Sedition Acts. Okay, document 3 is an excerpt of the pamphlet created by the United States Socialist Party 1919. I'm going to read the context up top first. In 1919, 15,000 leaflets urging resistance to the draft were sent to men who had been drafted by the U.S. Army. The leaflets were traced to Socialist Party headquarters, specifically to Charles Schenck, the General Secretary of the Socialist Party, who publicly and vocally had opposed United States participation in World War I. This took place during a period known as the First Red Scare, during which concern over the spread of communism was high in the United States. Now the document itself. Long live the Constitution of the United States. Wake up, America. Your liberties are in danger. The 13th Amendment, Section 1 of the Constitution of the United States, says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to the jurisdiction. The Constitution of the United States is one of the greatest bulwarks of political liberty. It was born after a long, stubborn battle between king rule and democracy. In this battle, the people of the United States established the principle that freedom of the individual and personal liberty are the most sacred things in life. Without them, we become slaves. The 13th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States embodies this sacred idea of personal liberty. This idea is violated by the Conscription Act. When you conscript, force a person to join the military, a man, and compel him to go abroad and fight against his will, you violate that most sacred right of personal liberty. A conscript is little better than a convict. He is deprived of his liberty and of his right to think and act as a free man. A conscripted citizen is forced to surrender his right as a citizen and become a subject. He is forced into involuntary servitude. He is deprived of the protection given to him by the Constitution of the United States. He is deprived of all freedom of conscience in being forced to kill against his will. Write to your congressman and tell him you want the law repealed. Do not submit to the intimidation. You have a right to demand the repeal of any law. Exercise your right to free speech, peaceful assemblage, and petitioning the government for a redress of grievances. The question based on this document, identify the point of view of the United States Socialist Party concerning the Conscription Act. Document 4 is from Senator Robert M. La Follette, Free Speech in Wartime, given in the U.S. Senate, October 6, 1917. I think all men recognize that in time of war, the citizen must surrender some rights for the common good which he is entitled to enjoy in time of peace. But, sir, the right to control their own government according to constitutional forms is not one of the rights that the citizens of this country are called upon to surrender in time of war. Rather, in time of war, the citizen must be more alert to the preservation of his right to control his government. He must be most watchful of the intrusion of the military upon the civil power. He must beware of those precedents in support of arbitrary action by administration officials which, excused on the pleas of necessity in wartime, become the fixed rule when the necessity has passed and normal conditions have been restored. More than all, the citizen and his representative in Congress in time of war must maintain his right to free speech. And the question, what is one argument against restricting free speech during wartime, according to Senator Robert M. La Follette? Document 5, excerpts of the Supreme Court decision in Schenck v. United States, written by Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes, 1919. This is an indictment that charges a conspiracy to violate the Espionage Act of June 15, 1917, by causing and attempting to cause insubordination in the military and naval forces of the United States, and to obstruct the recruiting and enlistment service of the United States when the United States was at war with the German Empire. The charges state that the defendant willfully conspired to have printed and circulated to men who had been called and accepted for military service a document set forth and alleged to be calculated to cause such insubordination and obstruction. The defendants were found guilty on all counts. They, the Constitution's framers, set up the First Amendment to the Constitution forbidding Congress to make any law abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. We admit that in many places and in ordinary times, the defendants, in saying all that was said in the circular, would have been within their constitutional rights. But the character of every act depends upon the circumstances in which it is done. The most strict protection of free speech would not protect a man in falsely shouting fire in a crowded theater and causing panic. The question in every case is whether the words used are used in such circumstances and are of such a nature as to create a clear and present danger that they will bring about the substantive evils that Congress has a right to prevent. It is a question of proximity and degree. When a nation is at war, many things that might be said in time of peace are such an obstacle to its effort that their utterance will not be endured so long as our men are fighting at war, and therefore no court could regard them as protected by any constitutional right. And the question, based on this document, why did the Supreme Court decide that no court could regard Charles Schenk's language as protected by any constitutional right? And the last document, document 6, is an image. In the image, we see Uncle Sam. He's holding a hammer that says "Too Drastic Sedition Legislation." He looks to be hitting himself, well, trying to swat a fly on his forehead that says Reds. The title of the document is "Swat the Fly, but Use Common Sense." And the question is, what is the cartoonist point of view of the U.S. government's use of sedition legislation? So fast forward back and forth through this video to hear me read the documents again. Good luck.